This is Nick Smith in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and it's good to see you. Good to hear from you. If you do want to send me a message or a chat or a comment, you are extremely welcome to do that. I just got some good news today. One of my feature films called Soldiers is on Tubi TV, so I'm looking forward to watching it in that format. I say my film, but of course I couldn't have made it without my co-producer Trevor Erickson and all the cast and crew that were involved. So um, check it out. If you haven't watched it already, why not? Watch it on Tubi TV. And another piece of good news is that our local bookstore, the Book Rack, is reopening on May the 5th. And that is kind of a limited opening, but it's great to see stores and restaurants, beaches start to reopen. Our little store here in Fort Walton Beach is opening back up in a few days. So I thought I would hang out with you for a bit. I enjoyed reading from Songs for Persephone last week. So this week we've got American Spirit. And not such a cohesive theme as Songs for Persephone, which is a love letter to my partner, but also to the place that I live. American Spirit is more broad-ranging. It includes more poems from when I lived in England and Scotland, but the preface does mention what I was doing last year and what a difference a year makes. I also want to mention that this book of poems is dedicated to my son, Sam McIntosh Smith. You can read that. It's for Sam. Here's the preface. This summer I'm commuting from Fort Walton Beach to Panama City Beach, Florida, every day. On the 43-mile drive, one way, I see tags from all across the USA: Alaska, Washington, Texas, Georgia, New York. All the drivers seem a little lost, chugging through construction, bad roads being widened to make room for more lost visitors. The car's bottleneck in Destin, named the world's luckiest fishing village by 1950s Florida Governor Leroy Collins, when he allegedly caught a 19-pound king mackerel on a quick trip around the harbor. Destin's real catch of the day is all the tourists who gladly spend their net worth on vacation-y stuff. Souvenirs, bland pub grub, dolphin cruises, and soak up the Florida sunshine. And buy gas for all those chugging traffic jams. They don't give up after Labor Day either. Deep in September, I see tags from Ohio, Mississippi, Alabama. The flower-white beach hides from the sun-seekers behind condos, gift stores and fast food restaurants, as if to say, peekaboo, over here, head for Mexico. When I'm in a jam for 15 minutes with a trail of cars in front and behind me, plus trucks because the Mid-Bay Bridge can't handle more than 2 axles at a time, I have words for these visitors. Those words do not appear in this book. Instead, you will find poems that span 30 years of writing. Most are recent, a couple are ancient, and 1 or 2 hot-blooded verses are products of my youth, misspent writing punk rock lyrics and schlocky horror novels. Lost or found, serious or silly, they are all heartfelt and aim to be as down-to-earth as possible, considering that they're poems. In our cars, on our way to work or play, we want to be where the action is, where the poetry's at. Sun chases all. Poetry isn't regarded as down to earth, if it is regarded at all. It does not always chase the sun. Sometimes it stays in the rain, a moody pluviophile. Other times, it wants to be part of something bigger, a movement, an era, or a school. But it's not part of a line or a jam. It doesn't get stuck at a stoplight. It's free from life's rat race, slow lane, chug-a-chug, predictable traffic patterns. Maybe it will free you a little as well. That was written in Fort Walton Beach, Friday the 13th of September, 2019. I got a comment from my friend Dan. Dan, I am taking care and staying safe. I hope you're doing the same. Dan Tickner's over in England, and I went to school with him. Sang in the school choir with him, and when he turned up, I looked over at him and I thought, this guy's a terrible singer. Why is he in the choir? But I was just jealous because he was a better singer than me. He's an amazing musician, and I'm glad to have had him as a friend for a lot of years. All right. Just a couple of bits and pieces for you. This one's called American Spirit. Cigarette wishes gone up in smoke, disappearing the more we drag them down, sucking for dear death, fighting for less breath, deliberately slowed down in the tar, trying to remember who we are. Fighting for the last puff, wondering if it's enough, looking for loose change behind our minds to buy the next pack, savoring the craving and the lack, stripping a new film, listening to the crinkle of a gas station Christmas Day non-surprise. I admire the glow in your eyes from the tip of a new lit nicotine hit. You make my chest tight, stop me breathing through the night, invade my lungs with songs unsung and slurped liquor rhythms, shared camel cadences, ready-made radiances from tobacco factories, medical malpractices born of our enthusiasm, a quick-dose cancer orgasm leading to us stuck in bed, fighting night ghouls in our head, breath as one, put more bullets in the gun, pull the trigger of philosophy, lost in silk-cut fantasy. Future's gone, desperate to right a wrong of thin air philanthropy, where coffin nails last twice as long. Our dreamland, creamland, cheap tobaccos everywhere. Burning smell is in our hair, on the streets, on the sheets. We don't save half for later. There's no feeling greater. Don't need a patch. We've got many dreams to hatch, circled by our haze rings, shrouding our black-eyed gaze, mellow-tasting ideas, messaging our stale fears, focusing on you, our booze and carbon brew. When they sift the ashes caught in our eyelashes, they'll find two minds combined, pierced grey bubble hopes melded by old tropes of lingering Zippo love, flints used up, empty cup of kindness, carcinogen blindness and faith in others' pleasure, lifetime soaked in leisure. Bedroom talks with tongues like chalk and pack of 20 happiness, vulnerable state of dress, grey-faced holding hands tight as cigar bands. Two people heaven wed. I read that writers should have a lot of different jobs. So I've been everything from a school teacher to vacation rental resort manager to a landscape gardener. This is from my time in landscaping. This poem's called Worker Bees. Jose, we have a bee problem. Digging a hole to plant a ficus, Carlos hit a pipe. A swarm of water left the ground, coiling us with liquid stings while we hunted for the shutoff. Miguel found it on the street corner at the base of a live wire lamppost where a colony of bees made their sticky home. Our boss Darryl sprang into action, ordering us to grab 2 leaf blowers. He wrapped a sweaty cloth around his mouth and nose, smothering his signature mustache, donned thick gauntlets, and did battle with the bees. We aimed our weapons at the shutoff, Miguel blowing, me blasting cool air above Darryl's head, almost taking his camo hat off. Swatting at his enemy, Darryl lifted the shutoff hatch. We smelled the burnt sugar zest of honey, gritting chore-stained teeth. Darryl crouched down, cut off the water. The happy ficus lost its grubby fountain drink, and Darryl lumbered back to the yard. We switched off our blowers, enjoyed a moment's grief and a moment's quiet. No water, no bees, until the peace was broken by our boss's piercing voice. "What are you standing around for? Get back to work!" We buzzed around the lawn, picked up our shovels, dug our earthen honeycomb, and Carlos hit another pipe. As I mentioned, last week, I've always written poems. One reason is because they are shorter than short stories or novels. I can explore an idea without spending years, trying to perfect a piece of work. Although there's definitely times where I've spent years on a poem. But mainly I think it's because my mum liked Pam Ayres, a humorous poet, and I wanted to impress my mum when I was a kid, and I still do. Here's one called Sandcastle Dreams. I couldn't sleep last night. Stayed awake and watched you dream, shaking off the wet things said underneath the shower head. We discussed our marriage plans, barefoot seashore wedding bands, though we know in truth the sand's no place to make a stand. I took a flashlight for my book, didn't want to wake you up. I watched perverse as you lost breath, as though you fought a drowning death, but always you regained your strength. No matter what you nightmared through, no struggle binds you for too long. You survive the right and wrong. I'm not built like that at all. When I'm tied down, I can't escape. It's my past that drowns me. Mistakes embrace, confound me. No matter how secure your sleep, how sturdy your sandcastle keep, all dreams wash away in the end. This has been a time of getting organized, taking things out of one box and putting them in another box, and sorting out the magnets on our fridge. This poem is called My Magnet Life. My fridge magnet life is wonky and displaced. No straight and narrow, no stainless steel neatness. It's grubby and crooked, a clutter of thoughts, memos unheeded, lists unchecked, strange place snapshots blurred with cooking grease, child-daubed portraits of nobodies, watching me crooked-eyed as I burn an omelette, frying to learn from my mistakes. That clean silver surface is cluttered with curios, souvenirs of better times, coffee-stained certificates of merit, estranged alphabet letters looking for a word worth writing home about. Sometimes the jumble makes sense, forms a pattern, leading to a cool stash of junk treasures, sustaining me with their comforting frivolity, convincing me I've chosen the sweetest street. Sometimes my freeze-dried collage mashup is just that, a god-awful mess. Positive and negative. Without both, my magnet life would not exist. Most of the time, I shuffle past my scraps, eyes half closed, ignoring the lessons my history could teach me so well. Here's a quick one. The language of buildings. Some days I feel iconic. Solid base, no acanthus trim, straight, true, unfussy. Other times I'm thoroughly ionic, showing off my volutes. With you I'm Corinthian with a crazed cornice, colourful frieze, come and climb me architrave, slender lines and marble skin, looking sturdy yet still thin, ready to prop up your lentil body with my unwavering form. The hyperstyle we make as one would shade all strangers from the sun. This book is dedicated to Sam, and when Sam was little we lived in Scotland and England. It rained a lot, so I'd take Sam to the playground, and instead of sliding down the slide, we would shelter under the slide while it poured rain. This poem's called Swing Park Waterfall. Huddling under the rusting slide, raindrops tingling on my back, I wrap Sam's hood around his neck and smile at him, making a game of drab weather. This is where we go play, a swing park up the hill from our house. I picture him in my rose-tint mind's eye, playing and spinning and chortling as children do. But it's Lincolnshire, raining, hood pulled up over his head, More don't look now than child's play. So we tuck ourselves under the tin lean-to slide, waiting for the rain to subside, pretend the choo-choo train climbing frames a submarine on a deep-sea fishing expedition. I praise you, Mother Nature, for your wisdom. The time I got to spend with Sam, I never would have got if I'd left him while I checked my phone on a cloudless day. Bring on the storm clouds, the thunderbolts, the pew-pew hailstones. Give us hurricane gusts, sleet, angry showers of icy rain. Send the north wind to slow our lives just for a little while. We need ill winds to bring us close again.